From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Florida State now finds itself in hard-scrabbled land trying to find diamonds in the rough in recruiting. But is it really going to be the end of the world? Will a new core emerge after the Duke game in the second half of the season? And we're doing our over-unders for the Duke game. Get involved. Win some free money to Garnet and Gold. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code warchantbogo. Warchant B-O-G-O. Buy one and get one free. That's how it works. It's awesome. There's the Florida State Seminole behind this whole thing, and they want to help you folks out, hooking you up with Vitamin Energy. Vitamin Energy will hook you up, make you feel better, get your mood right, get your focus right, get your workout pump right, etc. It's all there for you. Try the variety pack. So many different flavors, so many different varieties. Hard to pick one. Pretty much can guarantee you, though, if you buy one and get one free of those variety packs, you're going to find one that you're like, that hits a spot. And once you find one that hits a spot, you got a winner. Keep taking it. Profit in life. It's awesome how it all works. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code, again, warchantbogo. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. We got you covered all the way up until game day and beyond game day, every single day. So what we do over at warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. FSU1, that is the promo code that gets you 2 months for only $1. It gets you up into early signing day, if it even is going to matter with this whole NLI thing no longer being a thing. Saw the Noles got a 3-star commitment on Tuesday, Corey. Offensive lineman, though. Keep climbing. Keep climbing. Daniel Pierre-Louis. I'm going to say Louis. It might be Louis, but I feel I want to get in touch with my French a little bit or whatever. 3-star guy, top 100 offensive lineman, interior, corner on 3, top 50-ish guy in the state of Florida, although only 3 stars, so we'll focus on the positive. You get any deja vu? I'll tell Matt Lasser this. By the way, how are you, first off, Corey, before I ramble?
Hey, great. Thanks for asking, Aslan. Go ahead now.
Okay. It reminded me of this kind of reminds me a little bit, a smidge about 2003. They did get Antonio Cromartie, and Ernie Sims, which were all-world, 5-star, super-duper recruits, as Corey would like to say. But then they started kind of throwing out some flyers and filling the class. And, there's no limit anymore, really, is there, on these signing classes. So, you don't necessarily have to fill all your spots. You can do it through the portal. But I just feel like, I don't want to diminish this young man. Again, he's got a pretty high ranking, but they started offering guys like Jocelyn Shaw, like Jermaine McElroy, like Aaron Gret. I mean, they started offering guys in that last month before signing day, which was in February. And you're like, man, at that point, you're like, all right, they're going with some diamonds in the rough. But I've lived through trying to get diamonds in the rough. But what else really can you expect? And I know I'm not trying to let this coaching staff off the hook. They're compensated really well, but it just feels like they're in a point right now where a lot of these names are new names, and we're really having to kind of squint and, massage things to make it feel like, all right, this could be something. And I don't like being in that position. I didn't think we were going to be there after we went 13-1, Just didn't think that.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Norvell's better recruiting these kind of guys and signing these kind of guys, the guys that Alabama and Georgia aren't after. But I will say this, when it comes to offensive line, and I said this on headlines, this is the one position where I truly don't care about stars, unless you're 5-star, unbelievable, like the kid that was the Alabama kid that transferred to Iowa and then now transferred back.
Jaden Proctor.
He was a big time deal coming out of high school, right?
Yeah.
Those stars were right.
Yes.
But offensive line continues to be by far the toughest position to evaluate. In 3-star, 1-star, 4-star, it is literally a crapshoot when it comes to offensive linemen. So I don't mind. I throw bodies at the problem, man. I don't think this is like a linebacker or a defensive end where you're like, 3-star, maybe he can play, maybe he can't. It's like, think of how many 1-star and 2-star and 3-star offensive linemen have been drafted. I would guess more than the 5-stars. It's just Wisconsin, Iowa. They're not getting the best offensive linemen in the country all the time. They go find 2- and 3-star kids and turn them into really good linemen. Or they just evaluate real well at the high school level and don't care about stars. So when it comes to offensive line, it's so hit or miss. It's such a coin toss, a crapshoot, whatever stupid analogy I want to use, that I'm not worried about the star ranking there. Go find bodies. Maybe you'll luck into 1 or 2 or 3 of them that can play. Like the 2013 line. I think Bobby Hart was the highest rated out of those guys. Brian Stark was like a 2-star tight end. Cameron Irving was a 2-star defensive tackle.
Correct.
Matthias might have been a 4-star, maybe. He and Trey Jackson were maybe 4 stars or 3 stars. Yeah, man, it's just there's no science to recruiting in general. There's absolutely no science to offensive line recruiting. So people can roll their eyes at 3 stars, and I do, and I don't give this staff any benefit of the doubt anymore. But when it comes to offensive linemen, just bodies, man. Bodies, and make them something. That's your job. Bring in big bodies that you think can move and make them something.
I don't know, man, but like this is what they did a couple cycles ago. And I don't even know really.
That's not true. Like Lucas Simmons and Armella and Early, those were bigger time recruits. Right?
Now how's that worked out for us?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. So go this route then.
Well, I mean, in that same cycle with Jalen Early and Julian Armella, there was also, Daughtry Richardson was a 3-star guy. Quayshawn Sapp was a 3-star guy. I mean, Jalen Early was a 3-star guy, but now he's starting free, so I guess there's some good vibes there. I mean, Rod Orr was a guy that they took a chance on. Kanaya Charlton was a guy they took a chance on. And I get it, man.
But the vast majority of these guys aren't going to hit. That's just the nature of the position.
I know, but let's hit on a couple, though, brother.
Well, right, but I don't think having a 3 by your name in high school means that you're not going to hit. My point being, I don't think a 4-star – I don't think there's any difference in the evaluation of offensive linemen when it comes. If we did a historical track of it, that 4 stars are more likely, because I bet there's. Well, I don't know. Are there more 3 stars or 4 stars? I don't know. Probably more 3 stars.
3 stars, yeah.
But I don't think the percentage hit rate is so much higher that you're like, oh, this is a waste of a scholarship. There have been literally countless 3-star guys that have been all conference, all ACC type players. Demetri Emanuel was a no-star guy. I don't know what Dylan Gibbons was, but I don't want to write off a kid that's 18 and say because he has a 3 next to his name, because the people at On3 watched his huddle film, that the guys that aren't in football, by the way, and I shouldn't kill on On3, Rivals, ESPN, all those guys, that because they ranked him low, he's got little to no chance of being any good. The odds are he won't be a starter at Florida State because the odds are most guys you recruit, especially at the offensive line, won't be starters.
All right, well.
Defensive line is where I put much more stock into that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, that's fair. I mean, the only guy I always remember my guy Khalil Mack from down in Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce area. He was like a no-star, goes to Buffalo, probably Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think so. The guy that retired from the Browns that was the Hall of Famer, Joe Thomas, is that his name?
Oh, yeah, the offensive lineman, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a 0 or 1. Again,
these were earlier, too.
Those are anomalies.
Yeah.
Don't fill the roster with 0 stars, gang. Get guys that can play a little bit. But again, an 18-year-old that's 310 pounds, you have no idea, really clearly, after 100 years of doing this, they don't have an idea whether at 20 years old he's going to be an all-conference player or a scrub. They just don't. The great ones don't. Like Georgia has guys they miss on all the time, especially at the offensive line. So let's hope he's awesome. And let's see if let's go ahead and plan that he probably won't be, but we can be pleasantly surprised. It's not off limits.
Okay, so on November
What's his name, by the way?
Oh, I don't have that in front of me.
Pierre-Louis?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Jason Pierre-Louis? No. That would be awesome.
Jason Pierre-Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So that is now the 12th commitment they have in this class. And listen, if these guys stick, they got some players. Like Solomon Thomas is a consensus 5-star. CJ Wiley is a high 4-star wide receiver, 6'4", almost 210 pounds. He's like a real player. Kevin Wynn from Greene County, like real legitimate player. You hope like hell they can scratch and claw and hold on to these guys. And yeah, it's Daniel Pierre-Louis from Loxahatchee, Florida. So stand up.
So not Paris.
Correct.
I thought it may be French. So DPL, man, I believe in you. Go prove Aslan wrong. In 2026, I want you starting, and I want you dominating.
Did you just hear a loud ding? by the way? All right, good. For some reason, my text messages are coming through on my laptop, and I don't know how to stop it, and I don't like it. But let's go back into the time machine. We'll take it back to November 26, 2011, maybe one of the ugliest games in collegiate football history between Florida State and Florida. But it was a dub for the Noles. Left tackle was Zebri Sanders. Left guard was Jacob Ferenkrug. Your center was Brian Stork. Your right guard was Garrett Faircloth. And your right tackle was Bobby Hart. About a month later, 33 days later, December 29th, 2011, your left tackle was Zebri Sanders. Still the same. But you put Josue Mateus at left guard. You put Austin Barron at center. You put Trey Jackson at right guard, and Bobby Hart was at right tackle. And this was a part of like this big upheaval on the offensive line because they looked so ugly against Florida. Now they won the game, and they looked pretty ugly in the first half of that bowl game against Notre Dame, the Champs Bowl 2011. They were down 7-0, ends up winning the game 18-14. But is Jalen Early, Andre Otto, Maurice Smith is still going to be your center, and your tackles are still Darius and Jeremiah Byers, but those three guys are not going to be with you next year. So how important is it to see if this running game, I mean, I know this is crazy, you're going to laugh at me, Corb, like if they can run for like 100 yards, and it is due in part to having more athleticism and more physicality, which is what Alex Atkins said after practice on Tuesday that he gets from Jalen Early, possibly putting him at the guard spot. You get Richie Leonard back next year, so maybe that gives you some flexibility. My guy Jacob Rizzi could maybe be at center once Maurice moves along. How important are these next 6 games, man? I know we're going to keep talking about quarterback ad nauseum, but just to see this offensive line maybe get some new life breathed into it, because this feels like a legitimate kind of option to see what you have. This doesn't feel like we're just throwing something at the wall, hoping for the best. I've talked about bringing Darius on the interior so you can maybe keep your 5 best guys on the field. We'll keep Darius and move Jalen on the inside, seems to be the play right now. I'd like to think they're going to be able to get something extra out of the run game, and that's going to give you a little bit of a catapult moving forward. How drunk of Kool-Aid am I? Is that a reasonable take at all at this point in the season?
Probably not. I don't think it's going to be vastly different. And it's kind of it's one of those lose-lose kind of. Well, win-win, lose-lose, however you want to look at it. But, like, if it is appreciably better, isn't the very next question, like, why did you wait 6 games? Like, if all of a sudden you can run counter because you do have, like, did you think Keandre was all of a sudden and Terrence Ferguson were all of a sudden going to be more athletic by week 4? If that was the issue. But and I hate talking like this, but it might be the avenue to saving his job, honestly, if we're going to be real here for a second. Let's be real, Aslan. Let's quit pussyfooting around. Let's be real. Just two dudes talking.
Okay.
The best chance for Alex Atkins to save his job, in my opinion, I could be completely wrong. He might not be going anywhere. He's the safest coach on the staff. I don't know. Would be to have a couple of young guys that look pretty good. Because if you bring in these 2 young guys and they get, rolled over, like if every play looks like the auto play against Clemson, and it doesn't look any better. In fact, it looks worse. It looks like they can't stay in front of anyone. They can't move anyone. There's no physicality. You keep losing the line of scrimmage with these guys. I mean, then what? Then, okay, you can't just blame it on the old guys. You can't blame it on the new guys. You don't have anybody on your roster, apparently, that can do what y'all want them to do. Well, that's on y'all. And Norvell's not fired himself. So I feel like if these 2 guys in the interior can provide a spark and make the run game look better, then maybe that can save Alex Atkins' job. But that's how important I think it is. I don't expect it to, though, on either front. I don't expect them to look much better, and I don't expect at the end of the day, probably if they finish last in the country in rushing, they're probably not going to keep their OC/offensive line coach. That would be pretty hard to argue against or for. But wouldn't that be kind of something Alex Atkins could not peacock about, but kind of look towards the future and be like, look, these guys are coming. Those guys, did you see the difference? They're ready now. I got these two young guys ready now. We could also maybe, as Ira has said earlier this week, we could maybe move Otto inside to center because they worked him some at center. Mm-hmm. And then maybe if Richie Leonard comes back, he's another guard. So then you look good on the interior because I think Leonard's a pretty good player. Certainly not special, not this year with this staff. But maybe you've got a trio in the middle that you feel good about. And maybe that's how Alex Atkins can stave off firing, is because he's got guys that but I mean that kind of goes for everybody on the staff, right? That's why I would think all these coaches could be rolling in a few more younger players. Like Dugans could be like, look, man, McCoy's the truth. Elijah Moore looks good. Look at Hakeem. They're coming along. We got a core to work with here. And Randy Shannon could look at Justin Cryer and DeMarco Ward. They're the next
Omar Graham. How about Omar Graham?
They're the next Brooks and Rebowl and Daryl Bush.
Nice.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I was going through the catalog there in my brain. I think that's probably going to be helpful for every position group, save for the defensive line, because there's just not a lot of young talent there that's ready to take the field and be productive, it doesn't look like. In the secondary, you have some old guys that can play. But other than that, I think all these guys should be trying to go for a little bit more of a youth movement, including the head coach and including, as we were just talking about, the quarterback. If Brock Glenn looks good on Friday night and puts up, dare I say, Aslan, 29 to 30 points, ooh. I know I'm talking crazy. That's what they scored in 2 games, but it could happen. I see teams do it. And he throws for 3 bills and runs around, makes plays. Well, then the whole conversation changes about the offense and about the team moving forward. That's how important that position is, right? Remember, it didn't end up working out, but remember the spark Miami got with Tyler Van Dyke?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're a real offense again. It's happening this year, for heaven's sake. Why don't I use the 2024 example? All of a sudden, Miami is favored to win the ACC because of one guy.
Yeah, but the Van Dyke one's better because they're kind of struggling, and now they kind of they got the propeller a little bit pointed more in the right direction. Like Cam Moore, they were kind of
that's true.
Well.
You're right. Yeah, that was an off season, not a mid season. Tyler Van Dyke was mid season, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they went from 15 points a game to 40. Yeah. He was the hottest quarterback in the country before he came and faced Jermaine Johnson, and he got parchmented on 4th and 14.
So good.
He'll never forget that night, old TBD. He had a dub under his belt, and then all of a sudden.
Spiked it. But, Spike didn't have enough time, buddy. Can't do that.
But remember, that was kind of a it didn't end up mattering. Manny got fired anyway, and then Van Dyke just got abused the next 2 years. But that turnaround excited the whole team. And but also, Brock Glenn, hopefully, if he plays well, won't get hurt. He'll continue to progress unlike Tyler Van Dyke. But that would be unbelievably important for this team. If you not only thought Brock Glenn could be good, but he's actually good, that changes everything. But that's a big if at this point.
What's not a big if is Corner Pocket's going to be going off today. It's going to have great food today. It's going to be a bunch of fun today. Yeah. CPTallybar.com, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., as well as a happy hour going down from 4 to 7 weekdays, and then all day on Sunday. Fantastic apps. We went over those yesterday. Fantastic signature starters. Fantastic wings, salads, handhelds, and wraps. Even one dubbed the Corey wrap.
Yeah.
Have we settled on anything that's like the true Corey wrap that doesn't have the hold the fire with the tomatoes? Bald style. Okay.
Yeah, that's bald. It means without tomatoes.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Oh, what kind of pickles? Is it like pickled chips, or is it like a pickle spear in the Corey wrap?
No, that would be crazy. Have you ever had a wrap with a pickle spear in it?
Well, I mean, they put it, they cut it in half.
But still, I don't know that I've ever had that. But that's a good idea. But no, they're regular pickle chips.
Okay, all right. Check it out, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. No happy hour, or rather, no Jeff Cameron, Corey Clark happy hour. But there's a happy hour again, weekdays 4 to 7 o'clock, and then all day Sunday.
It'd be a good place to watch the game Friday night.
Yeah,
bunch of Noles getting rowdy, watching Brock Glenn light up the night.
Let's get that security footage, if possible, if we can get it when the Noles put the dagger in Duke and they. I think they're. I don't know about a dagger, but they'll be in the victory formation. It'll be good to see everybody like high fiving each other, doing like the soft clap, like all right, good, we're back.
Or Fitzmagic making like a 48-yarder at the horn to win the game.
It's not going to be that.
I want to
close.
see the eruption of the big play that wins the game.
Okay. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Back half of the show, it is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code WARCHANTBOGO, Warchant BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Yeah, interesting, talking about, this youth movement, et cetera, et cetera. It's probably overselling it, but, Dugans is one of the guys that has been taking like considerable heat. And, he got 1 year of somewhat silence with Johnny and Keon. And I guess Ja'Kai to a certain degree, or whoever else they really rolled. Who was the number 3 receiver? Would we say last year? Not counting Jaheim at tight end.
There wasn't one. I would say Ja'Kai probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he was hurt. Kentron was hurt, but nobody else really did anything at all.
Yeah.
Hakeem got hurt.
Yeah. I think Hakeem legitimately is going to be a player sooner than later for this team.
Yeah.
I think Elijah Moore still might be, maybe by November some stuff kind of starts clicking. Yeah, I thought he had a couple good reps on Monday, but it's just not consistent. And I get everybody like, it's practice, they're gamers. You guys said they're going to be awesome in practice, so I understand what you're saying. But like I think it's time to almost like turn the page on a lot of guys. And like I love Kentron. I hate saying that because Kentron has made some of the more impactful catches for this team of late. Stretching back to late last year when everybody started kind of getting injured. But that's the one thing that I don't see, like, where is the drawback on that? Because I'm not saying, like, sit Malik, but it feels like we've seen enough from the veteran wide receivers that aren't really getting it done, still make some mental errors. There was another guy on Monday got yelled at for not properly blocking downfield. Like they did a hurry-up play where they thought they were going to get some advantage on the numbers on the outside to run a play outside the tackle box. And guy that's been here for like 4 or 5 years just didn't know his assignment on a block. And, Norvell was really irritated, but that same guy gets chances in games more often than not. I would love nothing more than see like Brock, those young guys on the offensive line. Feels like, to your point, Landon Thomas has done enough to stave off Kyle Morlock for the better part of these football games. But yeah, man, let's see what Hakeem and LaWayne McCoy, and we'll still ride here with Ja'Kai, even though he's not one of the young guys, but they're just, to me, the Darions and Kentrons, unless there's just something that they particularly do in their skill set that's just loads better than LaWayne McCoy, I don't think that needs to be further explored.
Yeah, even if right now, theoretically, they might give you the better chance to win, which they don't because you're not winning anyway. But they've also had 4.5 years to make their mark through either non-production or injury. I mean, it's a bummer, but they haven't. They've had their chance, right? I don't think anybody could say that those two guys, those two specific receivers, have been treated unfairly. They've gotten chance after chance after chance when they've been able to get on the field, and it just hasn't worked out great for them. Portier's been a better player than Williamson. We all know that, but not enough that you would. And it's a tough business, man. You got to be like, man, we got to get these. You're leaving. We've got to get these guys experience because we got to know what we have going into next season. Just like you got to play a lot when you were in 2020, and Portier did more than I think we remember. He played a good bit in 2020, probably at the expense of older guys. Well, it was because they wanted to see what they had in them. And it turned out they didn't have a star by any stretch. And you've got to figure out over these next 6 games what you got. The thing about Malik, though, that I think is makes him more unique and different. Number one, it's his first year here, but you are at some point going to have to go back in the transfer portal and get receivers, right? He was your big dog, big fish that you got this year. Probably didn't work out like Keon, unless he has an unbelievable next 6 games. Maybe he and Brock just have a connection.
They could.
But it's probably not going to happen. But you would like him to put up some pretty substantial numbers. Like right now, I just looked it up. He's at 18 for 224, which equates to 36 catches for 448 yards, which is not great for a starting wide receiver. No touchdowns either. Again, that's not all his fault, though, right? Like, we understand he has not been playing in the best offense with the best quarterback. If he could put up, like, 40 for 600, if he could get there over the next 6 weeks, well, doesn't that make it doesn't that make it an easier sell to the next kid you're trying to get out of the portal? You don't want your number one guy that you got out of the portal, who was only going to be here for a year, just like Keon, to put up 18 for 224 for the season, because he put up 13 for 160 at Alabama. You want it to be a huge, a great upgrade in production, so then you can sell that to the next guy in the portal. So if nothing else, get him to have some better stats, so then for the 2024 offseason, you can go to your first, second, and third choices at wide receiver and say, look what we did for this kid. No, our offense wasn't great. No, our record was terrible. But look at the production he had this year compared to where he was a year ago. That's what we can do for you. Come catch home run balls from Brock Lynn or Luke Kromenhoek.
That's right.
Come on, man. Quit being a baby. Anybody can go to Ohio State. Quit being a baby. Make your own mark. Come to Tallahassee. So I think that's something to think about with the transfer portal kid.
You know how many yards Florida State ran for in that Champs Bowl against Notre Dame?
I'm going to guess. I don't even know who their running back would have been. Devontae Freeman?
Devontae, James Wilder, and Chad Abram had carries. And then EJ also had a bunch of sacks.
12 yards. No, I'm going to guess 0 yards.
No. 41. They averaged 1.4 yards per carry in that game.
Wow. It might have been more. EJ broke his leg in that game, legitimately.
Yeah.
Broke his leg in the first half of that game and then played the whole second half on a broken leg and won.
And he was 20 of 31 for 249, 2 tutties. Took 5 sacks. Sacked 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times.
But those guys got experience, man.
They did.
Trey Jackson. Who else did you say? It was Trey and Matthias. They got experience. Then they were thrown into they weren't exactly thrown in the fire in 12, and they were more ready, and they brought in Menelik, and then they turned Cam Irving into a left tackle too, and had a really good 3-year stretch there.
Yeah, Josue and Trey Jackson, I think that was like their first.
Yes, it definitely was. That was the first time they'd played all year, I think.
Yeah, so fingers crossed on that. All right, let's give away some money that's not ours, courtesy of our good friends over at Garnet and Gold. Let's do a little over-unders, shall we, Corey? I'll throw them out. I guess you can lay the numbers out there for it. Let's do, how about Brock Glenn rushing yards? Is that something that you might be interested in?
Sure.
All right. What's the number?
I'll say, so overall or non-sack?
Your call, buddy.
I want to say overall.
Okay, I like it.
So, no. I want to say non-sack. Sorry. Yeah, I want to say it's easy. It's easy to compute. They do it for you in the box score. I'm going to say non-sack rushing yardage. I'm going to put it at 23.
Ooh. Can I put a hook on that?
Yeah, put up 23.5. There you go.
Okay. All right. Let's look at the defense possibly. We haven't done this in a while.
Actually, let me raise that to 33.
Ooh, why? That's a huge number.
I don't know, man. I mean, he could run for 11 yards, but been sacked for 22.
But you're doing non-sack yardage.
I know, but I'm saying, like, you can envision a scenario. I mean, he ran for 25 against Clemson.
Okay, 33 and a half.
You know what I mean? So
right.
I think 33. I think that's gonna be more of the game plan. I think they're gonna at least get him to 35 because they want to get out of the cellar, gang.
Okay.
They want to leapfrog Kent State to get to 132, and to do that, they got to get Brock Glenn some rushing yards.
How about Peyton, Jackson, Farmer, Jones combined TFLs? Just those 4.
Just those 4. I will say 4.5.
Okay. Very democratic. Want to pop, perhaps. Yeah. Maybe somebody overachieves and gets 2. All right, back on the offense. Do we want to do like LaWayne McCoy or Amari Williams, like one of the underclassmen? Although he's performed in games. Or maybe Landon Thomas. You want to do one of those guys, like over-under catches?
Yeah, let's do Landon.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3.5. That's going to get a lot of money on the over.
A lot of action.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot of money on the over. But I feel like Duke's going to be key on him a little bit. He's now at the top of his scouting report after one game, so it might be a little harder for him to get open.
Florida State defensive takeaways?
Oh, geez. 0.5? Either they get one or they don't. They average 1 every 2 games, so by that rationale, they're due. They're due for 1 this week.
All right, let's do it. Florida State rushing yards. Again, a reminder to our friends at home here.
69.5.
They're currently averaging 58 yards a game. Duke, meanwhile, is allowing 151 yards of rushing yardage. So 79th in the nation. So, all right, 69.5. Tiebreaker, we'll do... Should we do longest field goal by Fitz, or should we do total yardage punting by Mastromanno?
I was going to do I was going to do like the longest rush by the Duke quarterback.
Okay, we can add that in there. All right, Malik Murphy, longest rush. Is that tiebreaker, or do you want that as a standalone prop?
No, that could be the tiebreaker. But I want to let everybody know his longest rush of the year so far is 2 yards.
Okay.
But I just feel like every game a quarterback has a run of about 25 against this team. So wouldn't that be something?
SMU's quarterback did he?
I think he had one late in the game that was maybe 15, 20 yards. But, yeah, he didn't need to, did he? He didn't need to.
And I don't know if Mr. Mendoza, Fernando Mendoza, I know he rolled out a bunch and had like nice throws on the run.
No, he had one in the fourth quarter, a pretty long one to convert a third down.
Okay. All right, so his longest rush there has been 2. What's going to be
his season high is a 2-yard carry.
Okay,
season
so
long.
that's going to be the tiebreaker. All right, so Brock Glenn rushing yards, not counting sack yardage, 33.5. The 4 starting defensive linemen, Standard, Farmer, Jackson, Jones, Payton, 4.5 TFLs combined. Landon Thomas receptions, 3.5. Florida State takeaways on defense, 0.5. Florida State rushing yards, 69.5. That's everything. That's going to include negative yardage on that one. So, and then Malik Murphy, the Duke quarterback, longest rush is the tiebreaker. All right, that's it. Short and sweet. We got a mailbag and maybe a live show coming up, Corey, or we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we'll do. Corey's got to go to Durham, everybody. He's got to go cover this game. He's got to go cover what I think is going to be a pretty easy breezy dub for the Noles. I mean, that's
crazy. But I love that you're confident. That's crazy, but I love the confidence, buddy. I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Okay. Lots of more content coming up. Jeff Cameron Show, Warchant Report, possibly later today on Wednesday, possibly Coach Speak later on Wednesday, maybe a Thursday joint.
Yeah. Thursday for Coach Speak, for sure.
Yeah, there we go. So stay connected to warchant.com. Subscribe. Somebody, again, Randy's Candy, shout out. Was like, hey, I need you to drop these earlier. Man, they're dropping it like midnight. Just subscribe on Spotify or wherever, and the podcast will be right there. You don't have to pay for anything when you subscribe to the podcast. It's free. It'll just show up on your phone. Yep. Don't have to worry about it. It's right there for your enjoyment. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.